Can you hear me now?
There we go. That's better. Okay, cool. So
All right. Wire at my end. I changed microphones.
no problem. Sharing this whole this Facebook kind of messed me up a little bit because they only let me do one at a time now.
Sunny skies, the smell of palm tree air. Looking back, I could never feel fair. The way the music has touched my soul. The way that the sound holds its control. But I've got a new way.
Share some more later. All right, so we're gonna be live in 2 seconds, and this on. It's a promo. And 3, 2, 1. Good evening, everybody. Dan Higgins here over at Astro World, and we are sorry we are running 10 minutes late, but the sun just went down and had a little issue, trouble polar aligning, and you know it's that me? Yeah, that's my sound. Let me turn this down. I'm sorry about that. I'm getting some feedback here. But yeah, so we're here with Ron Brecher tonight. How you doing, Ron? And Eric?
Good.
Ron is an avid astrophotographer, as many of us know. And he has his own stuff on astrodoc.ca. So why do I have two of me and none of Eric? That's funny. All right. So we'll fix that real quick. Sorry about that. And so we're here with Ron, and we're going to talk a little bit about PixInsight. We'll talk a little bit about some lovely stuff that Ron has in the works. I know he's got a lot of stuff going on. And if I could just get Eric on here, we'll be good to go. And change. No one wants to see you.
But we don't want to see two of Daniel either.
No, I'm way too ugly for that.
There I am.
That's better.
I just want to make sure your audio is there and we're good. Yeah, we're good. Okay. So sorry about that, Eric. I didn't mean to cut you out. But so Ron, you've been doing astrophotography for how long? You've been doing astrophotography forever, right?
Not really. I think I took my first astrophoto. It was with a point and shoot camera, probably around 2003 or 4, like just a compact digital camera.
Okay.
And I didn't know about RAW files then. I just shot JPEGs of the Northern Lights. That was probably the first thing I shot. And then the first astrophoto that I still show to people would be February 20th, 2008. There was a lunar eclipse. Very good from where we were, except that it was very cold, minus 25 C.
Wow.
And I had a new used astrophysics traveler and a DSLR, a Canon DSLR. And I stuck that Canon camera on the back of the astrophysics traveler, put the whole thing on the mount, started tracking, and I planned to shoot throughout the eclipse.
Okay.
But everything froze up at
at
mid-eclipse. I got my last picture right at mid-eclipse. And then the camera wouldn't work, the grease on the mount froze, everything was seized up. I couldn't even adjust the focuser.
Oh no.
Wow.
That's horrible. That's horrible.
Now I
And
use
so
airplane grease on the mount.
you gotta do what you gotta do, whatever makes it work, right, Ron?
We've all been there.
It's those little adjustments that you gotta make, right, Ron?
Yeah.
But so let's talk a little bit about what you got going on as far as you got AstroDoc CA going on. I know you have made a couple of appearances on the Astro Imaging channel as well.
Sure.
So you got a lot of stuff going on. So tell us what's new. Tell us what you got going on.
Well, AstroDoc, the name AstroDoc preceded my website and preceded me, anybody knowing about me at all. My wife got me license plates for my car in, I think it was 2013 for Christmas.
Okay.
And I opened up those plates and it said AstroDoc. So it was her that did it. And by the way, I subsequently got her license plates that was Infinite.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
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 So she does inner space, I do outer space.
There
Nice.
you go.
But at any rate, a little bit after that, my friend Sean Nielsen, some of you probably have seen him around Facebook and so on, Visible Dark and so on.
Yes.
Yes.
And Sean helped me get that website up and running. I maintain it now with a little bit of help from him, but he helped me get it going. And I have all my photos, all my articles in Sky and Telescope, photographs of my equipment. All of that stuff is on the website. And one of the things that I think people particularly like is that I give detailed workflow for every image that I post. So I'll tell you how I acquired it and then how I processed it.
Nice. I'm sure a lot of people appreciate that. It's pretty helpful.
Yeah, I get a lot of nice comments on that. And I know when I was starting out, there's different people learn in different ways. Some people are visual learners and they want to watch a video tutorial.
Mm-hmm.
Other people, like me, for example, I'm a reader. I like to read things over and over until I get it. Some people are tactile and they need to work with somebody like me in a one-on-one or in a workshop where they're actually moving the mouse and doing the processing. So I give those detailed workflows as a way to just help people learn if that's their way of learning.
Well, I'm sure a lot of people appreciate that.
Yeah.
Especially the new guys like myself.
I was one of the privileged ones, I guess, to spend a lot of time over the past couple of weeks with Ron, and Ron actually helped me out quite a bit with the Heart Nebula that I showed I think 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
And let me tell you, the way that you do teach, Ron, and it's very, very specific, but it's very, very deliberate too. So you sit there and you make sure you get not only the technique, but why you're doing what you're doing.
And why you're doing it when you're doing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely. Because it's such a huge help. And actually, we got a date tomorrow too.
Yeah. I'm ready. Are you?
I got to get up early to make my list. So yeah. So let me get my email up real quick. I'm sorry. So you got started with a DSLR, you were saying?
I started out, yeah, that clip shot was with DSLR, but I graduated pretty quickly to a CCD.
Okay.
And other than one SBIG camera that I had, which I'll talk about in a minute, all my cameras, it turns out, have been QHY cameras. So my first cooled astronomical camera was a QHY8,
Okay.
6 megapixel color camera. So now we have 60 megapixel camera.
Yes.
Wow.
Right, but that was a 6 megapixel color camera. And I took some decent shots with that. I really enjoyed it. I kind of learned the. Then I graduated to a mono camera with filters, and that was the SBIG.
Okay.
It was an SBIG STL 11,000 with a 5-position filter wheel and a built-in guider, and it was just the cat's meow. Got some great stuff with that. But I sold it too, eventually going back to QHY cameras, and those are the cameras that I'm using now. I have two cameras running now. One is a mono camera with filters, and the other was a one-shot color.
Okay.
Sure. So you went to one-shot color, and then all the rest is history, I guess.
Pretty much. My newest thing is I have 2 telescopes mounted in the observatory. I have a 150 Skywatcher Esprit, and sitting on top of that is a TAC FSQ 106.
Nice.
I have the color camera on the smaller telescope shooting relatively low resolution color, so around 2.6 arc seconds per pixel. At the same time, I'm gathering luminance with the big refractor, the 150, and a mono camera. So effectively on these short summer nights where it's like, maybe 5 hours of darkness, I'm getting 10 hours of shooting. It's awesome. Anyway,
double it up with the 2 scopes. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm writing an article for this, hopefully for Sky and Telescope. Hopefully my editor, Sean Walker's listening.
Yeah, you do quite a number of writing articles. Actually, I read one that you just put out on, I want to say, M3 and M5.
Oh, that was those were in Astronomy Now. They were in May and June. The British Astronomy Now magazine.
Yeah, it's really good writing, really PC. If you guys haven't checked that out, go to. I think you have it on your website as well.
Yeah, you just search for M3 or M5.
Yeah, it'll come up. It's really good stuff. And if you get a chance, take up Ron on his one-on-one tutorials. I'm telling you, it's unbelievable. It's definitely great. It's worth the investment. Trust me.
Well, we were on a roll. Warren and I were doing workshops all over the U.S. and throughout Canada too. But this COVID pandemic has kind of stopped that in its tracks for the time being.
Yeah.
So the one-on-ones are a good alternative. And, it's not just us. There's some very good teachers out there. Warren does a great job. I enjoy the teaching too. Find somebody whose work you like and let them show you how they do it.
There you go.
And that's Warren Keller, right?
Warren Keller, yeah.
Yeah.
He's the author of Inside PixInsight, which I was the technical reviewer for. And actually, I really learned I learned PixInsight from Warren's website tutorials. So that's ip4ap.com. Mm-hmm. I was a customer before I was a training partner. So I bought those tutorials. Seriously, I started PixInsight in 2009 on a challenge from a friend of mine, Gord Simpson. We took a data set of M82. I processed it in Photoshop. He did it in PixInsight, and we only gave ourselves 15 minutes. And his was way better than mine, so that convinced me to try PixInsight. And I know I'm kind of I can be a lazy so-and-so. Mm-hmm. So I took Photoshop off all my systems, or I would have used it.
If it's there, you
so
can
that
use
was
it.
That was and I'm good with dates. That was like July 10th or so, 2009.
Wow.
Okay.
And I have never looked back. But, I started with Harry's Astro Shed. Almost everybody I know has seen Harry's Astro Shed
Sure.
PixInsight tutorials.
Mhm.
They're really excellent. But then I found IP for AP.com, and I bought all 3 series. I ate them like over the course of 3 days. My family didn't see me. And then I sent Warren some before and after photos. So I had good data sets, but I wasn't, I was leaving a lot on the table.
Sure.
And I learned how to get the most out of that data. So I've said this to you, Daniel, right? Good data never goes bad.
No.
If you get good data,
bad data never turns
you
good.
can go. Yeah, you can go back and keep reprocessing it over and over as your skills. As your skills improve and as your artistic taste changes.
Yeah.
Now, when you say good data, for someone who's new and learning and stuff like that, what do you really mean by that? Say, because a lot of the new people that are just getting started, and I'll be honest, I'm like this. I have a ASI, one-shot color. I hook it up. I do my polar alignments, and I pick a target, and I start shooting. Make sure that my guiding's correct and things like that. But when you're talking image acquisition and doing it correctly, can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Yeah, so it's a lot of it is a little bit like a Goldilocks situation, right? So you don't want your exposures so long that the sky background gets blown out or that your bright stars get blown out, but you don't want them so short that it's really noisy.
Sure.
So you need to experiment. A really important criterion for me is what's the shape of your stars. For me, for the data to be good, the stars need to be round.
Right.
They need to be small. Right, Daniel? We've talked about that too, right?
Yeah,
If you're trying to fix bloated, out of round stars when you're doing your processing, you're going to have to do that for every image you take, unless you solve the problem that's causing it in the first place.
Gotcha.
So when I'm talking about good data, I'm talking about properly exposed, round stars, artistically framed.
Mm-hmm.
So do you want that beautiful galaxy stuck up in the corner and a whole bunch of empty space around it? Or below it, taking up most of the frame.
Right.
You have to think about how you're going to present your image too. So that's what I mean when I talk about good data.
Right. Because for me, I have in the past couple of years, I've become more of an acquirer of different types of telescopes. Since I've gotten started, I have a RASA. I have a long focal length refractor. I got right now. I have on my Rokinon. I have a Rokinon 135 sitting, connected to my 294 because I plan on after the show today. I'm going to be hopping on around 10. My goal is to go after the Antares region.
Wow,
Okay.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and that's the biggest reason is because it is so colorful and so beautiful. And I only have today, this evening in my area because it was 7 days of rain before today, and it's gonna be 7 days of rain, this next week. So I'm taking what I can. So at an f2.8, with this one-shot color, I'm trying to correlate that with, exposure time, that speed, that f-stop with the exposure time. Because one thing I've learned recently using my 126 refractor, which is an f7, I had to expose longer, because it's slower. So now I have to rethink a lot of those things. Going at a 2.8, maybe I'm doing a minute. So, but I see your point as well. The main goal is to make sure you have tight, nice round stars, that you're guiding well, you're polar aligned well, things like that.
That your object is framed properly.
Yes,
That
exactly.
you have good matching calibration frames.
Okay.
Like you can have the best stars in the world, but if your calibration frames aren't going to fix the dust donuts, you're going to be wringing your hands at the end.
Gotcha.
Or again,
Yeah.
giving yourself a lot of extra work.
Gotcha.
You know, when I think about astrophotography overall,
Mhm.
I think of it as having four almost completely independent components. So the first one, which we're talking about now, is acquisition. And that has nothing to do with what you do with it afterwards. I know people who all they do is acquire data, they don't do any processing. But they acquire great data.
Okay.
Then the second thing is taking a night or a month or a year's worth of data and combining it into a single image, or a single image for each filter that you can then work with. So that's pre-processing. Has nothing to do with acquisition. And it has nothing to do with processing after that. The third part is processing. That's making a pretty picture. And the fourth part that I think a lot of people overlook is sharing. How to share information and have it look the same on your screen as it looks on my screen, or have it look the same on your printer as it does on your monitor.
Yeah.
That's color managing your workflow,
Okay.
which is a completely separate topic from all the other three. And you can do the first three really well, but if you don't do the color management, what you send me might look green.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your
Absolutely.
beautiful Andromeda galaxy might just look green to me.
Right. True. Very true. Awesome.
That has something to do with the ICC profiles that you showed me at the end, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, the last step I always do is I set the color profile of the image before I share it, so that everybody I share it with, all of their devices, know how I expect the color to be displayed.
Nice. That's great information. It's great information to have.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to make sure. I mean, I'm getting my first. I had that Heart Nebula printed on paper from Bay Photo.
And did it look the same as it did on the screen?
It just shipped today, so I'm not sure yet. so
is your monitor calibrated, Daniel?
It is.
Okay.
It is. I'm hoping that we got a decent product. So we'll see. We'll see if it comes in. If not, I'll send it back. Although I got to be honest with you, I did get one on metal from a friend of mine, a metal print, and I guess they just messed up the colors on it, and they totally oversaturated it, and it just was a complete mess. I actually had to send it back. But
was it the same image?
Well, actually, I have it. It's sitting right here. I think if I could move this without breaking this MacBook Pro that I got in 15 pieces. I'm replacing a monitor on a MacBook Pro, so let's see. So here's a picture.
Oh yeah, that is the one that we worked on together.
That's
isn't it?
the same exact one that we worked on, but it's you can barely see it. But
that's not what we did.
No. He totally oversaturated the whole thing. It looks horrible. I'm sending it back. And I specifically told him not to change the colors, but the technician in the lab decided to do what he wanted to do. So it's very important when you go to like a Bay Photo or anywhere else that you go to get your photos. Number one, make sure your data is good and your monitor is calibrated, so what you see is what you get for the most part. And number two is make sure that they don't mess with the photo once they got it. So
Yeah, I mean, if you tell them that you've saved it with sRGB or Adobe RGB color space, uh, that's good information for them to have for when they're printing, because they're probably printing in a different color space.
Yeah, because I actually told him, I said, by the way, I got the ICC profile going on. I got, so just leave it alone.
Yeah.
Just leave it alone because it was just horrible. It was horrible. But
Yeah, now, of course,
Now,
if you know the kind of printer that they're going to be using to make that print, you could save your image with the color profile for that machine.
yeah, that's a good point too. Yeah, absolutely. If you know the printer,
Yeah.
and
And you can, if you find out the model printer that they use, you can go online and probably find the ICC profile for that printer and that paper or metal medium.
yeah, I think I'm gonna go with paper from now on. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what it comes out with. Hopefully by next show, I'll have it on and we could take a look at it. So let's talk a little. I know you got the Takahashi. I know you got the what was the other refractor? The
It's a Skywatcher Esprit 150
150. That's right, the 150.
F7.
So now let's talk about like one piece of equipment that you purchased that you just can't do without.
Oh, that's easy. My Paramount MX.
No, that's not fair. I'm talking about a smaller pocketbook, I guess.
No. I bought it a long time ago. It's totally paid for itself in terms of. I mean, I'm imaging as opposed to tweaking my equipment all the time. I basically I check my polar alignment twice a year, usually after it freezes up in the winter.
mhm.
And when it thaws in the spring. So about 4 or 5 nights ago, I checked the polar alignment and it did not need adjustment. That mount, it just works. Every 3 years or so, my friend Gord that I told you about, who got me into
Actually, he
PixInsight.
just said hi. By the way, on
Oh.
the chat.
Oh,
we'll
cool.
go over some of that. We got some comments. When you're done, we'll go over some.
Oh, cool. Well, anyway, he's also my tech helper. He helps me like I can take pictures, but I'm useless with tools and electronics and stuff, whereas he can fix just about anything very quickly. So every few years, we've re-greased that mount, but that's all that is needed. So that's one piece of equipment. I've had different telescopes come and go, but that mount is a trooper.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It just is.
I
And
know. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
it's an unfortunate thing, this hobby, because you do eventually want to keep getting better and better the further you go. But again, to me, the test is here. It's a really simple test. Are your stars round? I don't really care what your guiding graph looks like, unless your stars aren't round.
Yeah.
Right? If your
Then we'll
stars
take a
aren't
look.
round, then we can look at the guiding graph, maybe, and diagnose why the stars aren't round. But if the stars are round, don't look at the guiding graph. It'll just make you tense.
Good point.
I think we were talking about that the other night when we were sitting there. What do you mean about 1.7? I'm always at 0.8, 0.9. What's going on? But the picture looks good. Don't worry about it. The picture looks fine.
Are your stars round?
Yeah, exactly. So it's it's a good indicator. I guess the PhD and the guide graph. It's good if you have a problem.
It's a diagnostic tool.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you got oblong stars, or
then turn on the graph so you can see what's going on.
yeah.
Deal with one axis at a time. So if you've got problems in RA and DEC are sometimes linked, but usually they're independent. So solve one problem at a time. And in my experience, the biggest problem in guiding is doing too much of it. So fewer guide samples, like a longer interval, 5-7 seconds between samples,
Okay.
and less aggressive correction. You don't want your guide graph bouncing all over the place. You want slow corrections. You don't want to chase the scintillation of the stars that's due to bad seeing. You know, the twinkle.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you don't want your guide camera chasing that.
Yeah. So we got a bunch of comments going on. We're already at 100 comments here. So.
Oh, wow.
Is that good, bad? I don't know.
That's great.
It's good. Let's see. One of the biggest things that I saw right now was about the monitor calibration. Is there any special equipment or software to calibrate the monitor that you use?
Yeah, let me grab mine. This is what I use. Hang on, let me get it in the picture. Everything's backwards for me here.
There you go.
There you go.
It's the Spider 5 Express. Okay. So I don't know if there's a Spider 6 or 7 or whatever. But anyway, when I bought this, so there were 3 Spiders. There's the Spider 5 Express, which was the least expensive. Those of you who know me know I'm going to go for the Spider 5 Express. Then there was the Spider 5 Pro, and then the Elite, or something like that. They're all the same device, exactly the same device. I'm taking it out of the box. It's basically a colorimeter that plugs into your USB port.
Okay.
There we go. Hold on. There you go. This side goes against the screen. It's going to be measuring, and it plugs into a USB port. The device is the same in all 3 versions of this hardware. The software is what's different and what determines what the price is. And I don't use their software anyway. I use a freeware product called DisplayCal. So DisplayCal. It's freeware from SoundForge.
Okay.
It can be a little finicky to install, but if you're computer savvy enough to be doing astrophotography, you should be able to get it installed. It takes a lot longer to run than the Spider software, but it does a way better job.
Okay.
Okay.
Good to know.
So buy the least expensive version and use DisplayCal.
There he is.
That's what I did.
I like least expensive.
Mark Ellis said he has it. Mark Ellis. Mark, you and I got to talk, Mark, because you won the Backyard Astro Imaging Club raffle 2 months in a row. And
wow.
You took my shirt. You got my, it was runner-up. It wasn't the grand prize, but he got my coffee cup and my T-shirt. So I want my coffee cup. Tarek, I think Tarek changed his last name to Alamrani. I think that's Tarek Abdullah. He has an older version of Spider, but I'm thinking about moving to an X-Rite product. I don't know X-Rite, but
let me know how it works for you.
Yeah, definitely let us know how it is, and you know.
I've heard good things about them, but I've used the Spider 3, and I've used the Spider 5. And I currently use the Spider 5, and it works perfectly.
Awesome.
Nice. Yeah, I haven't used either, so maybe that's something I need to work on a little bit. Chris says,
10 minutes ago, did I not ask you 10 minutes ago if your monitor was calibrated?
My friend did it. I didn't do it.
Okay.
I didn't do it. He came over with something, and he said, "Oh, you're good." I said, "Okay, good." Chris says, PixInsight uses ICC color correction. Seems to make my color overblown on posted and reviewing. Why is that?
So the last step in your imaging workflow, you need to, so I presume you're saving these as a JPEG or maybe as a PNG file. The last step in your imaging workflow, you should run the process ICC profile transformation and assign the color profile that you want the image displayed with. Most of the time, if you're posting to the web, you're going to want to use the sRGB profile. It'll have some letters and numbers after it, but it starts out with sRGB. Mm-hmm. That's the profile you want to assign. So use ICC profile transformation, assigning that profile. I'm going to just share my screen for a minute, if that's okay.
Yeah,
sure.
Let me get into PixInsight and show you this. Hang on a second. Okay, share screen, application window, PixInsight, share. Okay, you should be able to see my PixInsight screen.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so all the processors that are listed alphabetically if you ever can't find anything. This is ICC profile transformation down here. And let me just magnify this. How's that?
Yeah, I'm trying to make you full screen. Give me 1 second. And
bottom line is you're going to have an image open. You choose the image from here, and you're going to want to convert to the sRGB profile, which is my default. You'll see it here. sRGB IEC 61966-2.1. Use relative colorimetric as your rendering intent. Do use black point compression. It improves your blacks for printing. And floating point transformation. And when you're ready, you would just apply that to your image. It won't change the way the image displays in PixInsight, but when you subsequently go to save the image as a JPEG, that color profile information will get included with it. And I'm
nice.
On my screen now. And back to, there we go.
There you go. All right, good. So we were able to share a screen, so that's good. Some people have a problem trying to find the little cogwheel. But Mark said,
did that work okay?
No, it worked perfect. Once I made a different shot, so you were full screen, so everyone was able to see it. So
good.
Let's see. Tarek says he has a Spider 3 and 4. Both are fine, but getting older, so I need to upgrade. Gord said he has your old Spider 3.
Yeah, he does.
Supernova Hunter. I know who that is. And who is that? Supernova. I know.
There was a shot from Visible Dark. Sean Nielsen, I thought.
Hey, Sean.
Yep, Visible Dark. Yep. He puts on some great videos, man.
Yeah.
That guy does great stuff. If you guys haven't checked him out, check him out, and he does some great stuff out there.
He was actually ask Ron what deep sky object gets no love.
Oh yeah, I just saw that. Yep.
Globular clusters and open clusters, and I love them.
So globular clusters. All right. So what's your favorite globular cluster to image?
Whatever one I'm imaging, I love them all. They're all so different. They really are. I mean, whatever target I'm imaging, I'm really into for the time I'm imaging it and practicing my processing and learning about it and writing my web posts and stuff. I like all of that stuff.
But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, on an average, can you say how much time you usually spend on a given target?
For acquisition?
Say for acquisition, and just for your general process, from start to finish.
I would say for acquisition, I would typically aim for a total of 20 to 30 hours.
Okay.
One way or another.
Okay.
As little as 2 or 3 hours sometimes on an open cluster, and the longest I've imaged is 104 hours on the Bat and Squid Nebula.
Wow.
Wow.
That was on the cover of the 2019 Observer's Handbook, which is published by the Royal
Get it right
Astronomical.
here.
Oh yeah, there you go. There it is. Yeah.
Get it right here.
Yeah.
That's pretty
Cool.
awesome.
Yeah. So that was my longest exposure, 104 hours. But typically, I'd say 20 to 30 hours.
Okay.
So that's 104 hours over the course of how
2
many
months.
nights? Yeah,
2 months.
2 months. Okay.
Yeah, so in the winter time, you can get 20 or 30 hours in 2 or 3 good nights. But in the summertime, the nights are short. And of course, my sky isn't perfect. I have trees, I have light pollution. So I have good parts of my sky and less good parts of my sky. In these short night times now, it can take me 2 months to get the minimum amount of data. And how do I know when I have enough data? I have enough data when I do my practice process. I'm satisfied with both kind of the smoothness of the texture and my ability to resolve details and bring out sharpness in the texture.
Okay.
It's always that, it's like a push me pull you between smooth and sharp. And the better your data is, the more of both of those things you can get.
Sorry, I'm reading all the. Charles Lillo said, "Sorry, I'm late to the party." Ron, are you imaging from an observatory?
I am, and can I share my screen again?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Let me. Oh, I have to actually tell it to share my screen before I minimize it. Just a minute, I got excited because yeah. Let's see. How will I do this? I have to share my entire screen. There we go. And now I'm going to minimize you so we don't go into an infinite do loop.
Yep. That's always fun.
So you don't see all my dirty laundry. But here is my remote desktop. This is my observatory. Can you see this all okay?
Yep. I see. Yep.
So I have two versions of the sky, or 2 instances of the sky running. So this one, the big one that you see, is controlling my paramount,
Okay.
which you see in the lower left, the virtual mount.
Yep.
It's controlling my camera, which is currently set at -15. And I could, I think I could lower that now down to -25. Okay, good. And it's got the filter wheel connected with the luminance filter in place. The auto guider is ready to go. And there's my focuser. So this is all to do with the Esprit and the mount. And it's all being controlled by this, which is CCD Commander.
Okay, I was going to ask you what software are you using because I don't recognize it.
Yeah, so this is CCD Commander. So you can think of this is like the conductor for the orchestra, telling all the equipment what to do. So right now it's running its startup action. So it set the cooler, waited for the sun to set, lowered the cooler temperature. I just did that manually. Then it's going to move to my first target and focus, and then wait for the sun to set. Like to set below 12 degrees.
Okay.
Then it's going to go to my first target, which is NGC 3718. It's going to move to that target and then run 3 10-minute subs and focus until I tell it to stop. And I'm going to tell it to stop when my next target rises above 35 degrees, NGC 6914. And then it's going to do that sort of thing on that until it shuts down. And it'll shut down when the sun rises up to 11 degrees below the horizon, which will be at about 4:51 a.m.
Huh.
So that's
awesome.
controlling, that's all controlling the big version of the sky that you see. And then up here, I have the camera and the focuser that are connected to the Takahashi.
Okay.
And they're just a slave. So whatever the big version of the sky is pointed at, this is going to be taking pictures of all night.
That's awesome.
Incredible.
And I do 10-minute exposures on the Esprit
Are these unguided?
at 1 arc second per pixel. So, pardon me?
Are these unguided? Or are you guided?
It depends. Right now I'm guiding because I'm doing long exposures and I'm in a part of the sky where my unguided imaging isn't as reliable. But in other parts of the sky, I can go unguided for 20 minutes.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah, so this is all ready to go. So when this scope slews, which will be at 9:58, I do one focus manually, just because I want to make sure that first focus doesn't fail.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of the night, I just let it go all night while I sleep.
Yeah. So now you do that manually through the software, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So I'm actually that's why I keep on looking this way, because I'm actually me and a friend of mine totally revamped my entire system last night. So we took everything off, and I took my rotator off. Just did the regular focus. I got the rotator off. I used it, but I didn't use it. So I just I'm not using the rotator anymore. Wanted to get more weight off the mount. So I had the Eagle on top with the quick release. I got all that. I put everything on the rings, and everything's a little bit more compact. And so your center of mass is kind of more centered, I guess you would say.
Mm-hmm.
So right now I just did my first it took me a while to find out my new focus spot. It's actually about 4,000 steps further out than what I normally am. So now I'm just taking a picture now to see what happens.
But doesn't it change during the night? I have to refocus every 30 minutes or so as my temperature drops.
Yeah, I have it set for, I think, every 25 minutes, or every, I want to say 5 or 7 degrees, I think, if I remember right on those. I have it set on Sequence Generator Pro.
If I go 1 degree of temperature change, 1 degree centigrade, so
It's like 3?
1.8 Fahrenheit. If I go that much of a temperature change, I would be able to measure a significant bloat in my stars. Say they would go from maybe 2 arc seconds to 2.3, 2.4
Wow.
arc seconds. Wow. Full width half maximum.
So I guess I'm changing that then.
Let your data tell you. Spend one mediocre night where the seeing is good, but the transparency is so-so, or there's a full moon, or intermittent cloud, because it doesn't. You don't want to use a good night to do this.
No.
Right? And take pictures. You use an automatic focuser?
Yes.
Or manually? Manual. Which? Automatic?
Moonlight automatic, yeah.
Yeah. So get one night, and all you do all night is focus every 10 minutes. And it'll record the log, and you'll be able to see how focus changes with temperature.
Wow.
Huh.
And then your focuser probably allows you to input that information and have it make that adjustment automatically as the temperature drops.
Yeah, well, there's different
a lot of
focusers.
On that,
yeah.
Well, I'm going to be out a few times tonight because with that manual focus, I'm going to be out quite a bit tonight then.
Oh, yeah.
Man, get an autofocuser, man. I'm telling you.
I do have a EAF. I have a ZW EAF, but it's on the 126 right now, but with that Rokinon 135. It's a manual. It's that Canon manual focus. So they don't, unless I know you've got that That one focuser. Yeah, you got that.
This is my new toy.
Yeah, that's your new toy.
Eric, did you say you're using the Rasa at f2.8?
No. Right now, I'm using the Rokinon 135 at 2.8. That's
So
what I'm
you're
going
going
to
to
be using
be
today.
extremely sensitive to being out of focus and sensitive to temperature change,
Yeah,
right?
okay.
Because at f2 point, the faster your focal ratio, so the lower that number, f2.8, the zone. So focus isn't a point; it's a zone,
Okay.
critical focus zone. And the faster your optics, the narrower that zone. On my Esprit at f7, I can drive a truck through that focus zone, right? I don't need to focus that often. But on the Takahashi at f3.6, I have to focus every half hour.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's some good information. I'm learning something today. I'm definitely learning something today.
Oh, if you don't learn something every day, you're losing out.
That's it.
Hey, it's 9:58. Anybody want to see me do the first focus of the night?
Sure.
Is that
Absolutely.
cool?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Because I'm doing it. I don't necessarily have to share it with you, but I'm going to do it.
Yeah, I'll slide you over, and there you go.
You are seeing my screen now, right?
Yes.
Yep. Got the nice galaxy shot on your desktop. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so the mount, I'm just waiting for it to slew. And in fact, I'm going to just stop that imaging run and tell it not to wait anymore. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, 9:58. So we won't wait for the sun to set any further. We will start this run again. So just watch the virtual mount at the lower left of my screen, and you'll see.
Yeah, see it moving.
Yeah, so it's moving to my target right now, and you can watch the status here. When it goes there, it's going to stop and start focusing. You can read what's going on at the bottom right of my screen. So this is a slow download camera. It's about 29 seconds.
Okay.
So it's acquired, I'll switch this to the camera tab. It's acquired the first exposure and it's downloading it. And you'll see it download in a minute. By the way, the purple rectangle you see is the field of view of the Skywatcher.
Okay.
And there's my first image of the night, and you can see the stars are quite bloated. And it's going to pick a smaller field and start focusing. Come on. I'm waiting. Oh.
Nope.
Downloading. So now it's doing 3-second exposures, which will download faster because they should be. Oh, it's actually, I can see what's happened here. It's going to fail. So what I have to do is go into at focus 3 when it lets me. I'm going to have to abort out of this. Okay, so now I'm trying to get into at focus 3. Abort. At focus 3. There we go. This is not going to let me stop. Darn. So I'm going to have to take drastic measures. Sorry, gang.
Uh-oh.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, watch this. It's the task manager. CCD Commander freezes you out. So I'm going to end CCD Commander. Fortunately, I saved that. Right. And now that should have stopped all these shenanigans. I should be able to abort.
And that's
There we
CCD
go.
command. That's the one that comes
Now
with.
I can start see.
I'm sorry,
Huh?
CCD command
And
that
that
comes
was
with.
my fault. That wasn't the fault. That wasn't the fault of the software. I should have done a manual focus, but I didn't. So I don't need to do this. I don't need to wait for the sun. My cooler is already at minus 25. I'm already pointed. I'm going to do a manual focus. So I'm not even going to start this right now. I'm just going to do a manual focus. So we take a sample photo. In this case, it's 6 seconds, but I'll shorten that to 3 in a minute. And again, it's a long download. Then we'll choose a star, and I'll use these settings up here in the top of this control window to manually get close. Then we'll click on the autofocus now button, and it'll automatically do the focus for us. But I have to get it close manually. See how out of focus those stars are? So
Yeah.
let's zoom in and just get a star nicely selected. Not a hot pixel. There was a nice one up in the corner. There we go. See that star there?
Yep.
All right. So I have to try going one way or the other, and I'm going to go a significant amount. 655 steps. In this case, I'm going to go out because it's a lot warmer tonight than it was when I finished imaging the other night. So I've just moved out 655 steps. I'm setting the subframe and seeing if this star gets smaller. If it gets bigger, I got to go back the other way. I don't see anything, so maybe I went the wrong way. I'm going to go back the other way. 1, 2. So I went 2 that time.
Now, let me ask this because I've heard different theories on focusing on your stars. Some have said use the brightest star you can to focus on. Others said don't use maybe more of a medium magnitude type of star.
You should.
What is your opinion?
Should use a star. You should use a star that's within the linear range of your system. By the way, you see this getting smaller.
Yeah.
I'm moving 655 steps. So you don't want to use a saturated star for focusing, and you also don't want to use too faint a star. So aim for a star where the center of the star, when it's in focus, is about half or 3/4 of your full well capacity, 75% maybe. You can see this is now close to focus, and now I'm going to just use the autofocus now button, and it's going to take care of it. So what it's going to do is move deliberately out of focus by a certain number of steps and take 4 exposures at each position that it tries. And it's going to try and construct, it's going to try and find the position of best focus. It may find that it's on the wrong side of focus, in which case it'll go back and start again. So you can see each of these little open circles is one image at this focus position of 21,026. And after it's taken 4, it'll move the focuser. You can see it just moved the focuser. Now it's taken 4 more. They're either going to be a much higher or much lower signal. Yeah, they're higher. See, there's the first one. So it's going the right way. It takes 4 of these images at each focus position to average out the effects of the seeing. In other words, to get a better statistical estimate of the true quality of focus at this point. What it's actually measuring isn't stated by the SkyX, but it's basically it's basically a surrogate for the signal to noise ratio. So it's going to construct a curve here and find the place where the signal to noise ratio is at its best. And at that point will be the right focus point.
Okay. Yeah, so it works. It works very similar to Sequence Generator Pro as well.
Yeah,
It does. It racks it out of focus. It finds that nice little either V or U curve. Goes in and out of focus. Finds the right steps and goes back to that step where it was best focus.
correct.
Yeah. So let's see. Chris wants to know, how do you process for a good noise reduction? It's always an issue that I struggle with.
So I guess there's 3 steps to think about when you're thinking about noise reduction. The first step is at the acquisition stage. Make sure you dither and get enough exposures so that when you align and stack them, that you get a good, smooth master frame to work with. So that's the first part, is in the acquisition and the pre-processing. The second part is in the linear stage, very early in the workflow. You want to remove the so-called, Warren Keller calls it salt and pepper noise. It's that really fine-grained noise that you can actually see it on the bottom of my screen here, really exaggerated at bottom center of my screen, right? By the way, the focuser may now be concluding that it has to go back the other way, or it may think that it's found the right spot. We'll see. It's not far from where I had it, but it may need to go back the other way. This can take a few minutes the first time. It's why I always watch it. Yeah, it's going back. All right, so the second step is that salt and pepper noise. The third step is after you've stretched the image, in other words, you've delinearized it, you've taken it out of the linear space and made it nonlinear. You're still going to have noise of various different scales, and you're going to want to remove that. But I'd say the first 2, if you do a good job there, they're most important, because anything you do to enhance your image can also enhance the noise if it's still there. So it's really important to get the noise out of there first.
Okay.
Bob on YouTube wants to know, where is your observatory?
My observatory is at my house, the dog house. It's called the Dog House Observatory, and it was my 50th anniversary gift to myself, or 50th birthday, I should say, gift to myself.
I was like, 50th anniversary.
I'm just going to my website. No, I'm not that young. But here's my observatory, the Dog House. This is at Christmas. So it's a sky shed, and the roof rolls off to the left. And I think further down, yeah, you can see it open. Inside, there's a warm room with a heater. Nice. I used to have a laptop in there, which controlled everything, but my current setup, let's see if I can find it. My current setup, I don't know if I still don't show it, but right now I'm using an Eagle 3 Pro that was given to me to demo by Prima Luce Labs. So that's my PC that's running everything, and it's actually sitting in between the Takahashi and the Esprit.
Nice.
So it's a great setup. Wow. This is homing in on focus now. It's getting close to the peak. Yeah, I'm not worried that this takes a while at this time, at the first focus of the night. It's important to me that it gets it right and that I'm watching it. And by the way, we could start doing focus on the other camera. So if I go to its focus tools, so I'm in the upper right here now. If I go to its focus tools, I can open a second instance of at focus 3. And this camera downloads really fast, and that exposure is way too short. Let's make this exposure like 3 seconds and try that again. You can see now it's gone past the peak, and these are going to keep dropping here on the left focus window, this one here. Over here, there's my stars, and I can auto set the focus subframe here. Okay, I think I'm just going to let this one run. So I can go to the take series, which I've already set up to run all night. It's going to run 10 3-minute light frames. It's going to focus and run 10-minute 3-minute light frames. And it's going to do that all night. And it's going to save all those light frames with this name that's shown in the save name setup. So I can go ahead and start this series and now kind of forget it. And you'll see on the left here, at focus 3 has finished. It's found the best focus for the refractor, so I can close it, go back to my CCD commander, and it's going to now move to my target and start running. So let's go. So it's connecting to the mount, connecting to the focuser. It's done a little slew. Now it's starting the auto guider. And you'll see the 3-minute auto guider frame come up in a second. Just downloading.
Okay, one question that someone had, Dennis had, Ron, do you ever focus at 2x2 or 3x3 to speed up the download?
No. No, generally not. Why is my auto guider frozen? Let's start it again.
Mark said he sets his focus at every 5 frames.
I focus every 30 minutes, so it depends on the length of my exposures.
Sure. And Mark also said, Eric, get a moonlight.
Yeah. I have to see if they had, with the Rokinon, with the manual, with a manual Canon lens. That's one of the questions: is how am I going to find something for an autofocus or for that type of a lens?
What, for a Canon?
Yeah, or for like something that, because I also have a 51 millimeter that White Cat that we've got the White Cat. So they're both the helical type of focuser and things like that. So I'd like to try to find something that I could use perhaps for both.
You get that belt driven thing that I have.
But do they make that anymore? Where can I find one? That's the question.
That's at deepskydad.com.
Deepskydad.com. All right.
Deepskydad.com. It's the AF3. And that's one thing. And I think I saw somewhere that somebody's coming out with an ASCOM collar for Canon that will use the actual autofocus in the Canon lens.
Okay.
So I'll be on the lookout for that. That's coming out, if it's not out already, that's coming out soon. Jason Janes commented on your post. Let's see.
Okay.
Okay, so that's the auto guider.
That's something here. Okay.
That's the auto guider. It's found a guide star.
Yeah.
It's now taking a confirmation to make sure that it's not a hot pixel. So it's going to find the same star. It's found a possible star. It's got to find the same star in 2 images. And it still hasn't nailed one yet. They has to be in a certain brightness range that I specified.
Okay.
There we go. Now it's starting to auto guide. And
now is your observatory completely automated? The roof and all?
No, the roof is not. That's Gord, are you listening? Because we got to get on that, my friend. Just saying. So now I'm opening up the second. I had to close everything down, by the way. For whatever reason, it wasn't planned nice. And I don't like to spend a lot of time troubleshooting when rebooting usually solves all my problems. So this is now connected, and now I can let this start, and it'll run all night.
Nice.
So, yeah,
Nice.
it really is. So you can see, maybe you can't see.
I just saw the Eagle Manager.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out where my... Yeah, there's the Eagle Manager. That's the equipment manager.
Yep.
So this is the Eagle 3 Pro control software from Prima Luce Lab. And so you can see I've got 2 cameras and my focuser connected to power here.
Mm-hmm.
These are my USB 2 ports that can be turned on or off from software. So you don't have to go out in the middle of a freezing night to unplug a USB cable and plug it back in when your device hangs up. There's also 4 USB 3 ports, which you can see over top left and bottom left, and 3 dew heater ports, which I had connected to 2 scopes. There's the total power consumption. And optionally, you can get an environmental control module that keeps the dew heater strips just above, just at the right temperature. So that helps you manage.
I have the Echo, and it does a wonderful job. The one thing that I wish it would do, and I was talking to Tom Bramwell over at Prima Luce today, and apparently each dew strip is coordinated with its own temperature sensor. So so you got 5, 6, and 7, which would be your 3 dew heaters. You need to have a temperature sensor for each one of those dew heaters in order for it to make the correct adjustments. Now they're coming out with, in the new firmware update for that, they're coming out with soon, hopefully, a 3-for-1. So everything will be run off the one temperature sensor. It'll make, as long as it's, you can still run it with 3, but if you're really close by, you could run everything with just 1. So.
Hey, one thing I wanted to show you guys, I told you that this inner purple rectangle was the field of view of the Esprit.
Right.
The bigger rectangle is the field of view of the Takahashi.
Nice.
So you can see that I can shoot a huge field of view in color. That's what this camera, the Slave, which doesn't really care where it's pointed.
Right.
And all of the accurate stuff is done with this small rectangle with the big scope.
Huh. You got some cool stuff going there.
Yeah, he really does.
Yeah, so everything's going now. We've got our first images of just a few minutes away. On the right there, that'll be the color image, the big field of view. And on the left, we're counting down, still 393 seconds to go. You'll notice I don't have my guiding graph open, but it is available.
I haven't even looked at my
if we want to see it. So the scale on the left is in pixels and on the right is in arc seconds. And this averages, you can see it's around half an arc second RMS.
Yeah.
Over the past 5 minutes.
And this is all.
But I don't look at this because this might make me worry that the stars aren't round, and I can make it look way worse. I can make it look way worse by changing the scale. So
Don't do
here's
that.
my advice. So here's my advice. I like this star open so I can tell that I'm guiding and that there's a star in the field, not a hot pixel.
Right.
I can also tell if it's getting cloudy in the middle of an exposure. But I don't pay attention to the guide graph. I pay attention to how round the stars are.
Yep.
Or out of round. Okay, I think we're about to get our first light from the color camera. And
Nice.
yeah, it's gonna just, there it is. And I use Maxim DL because
Okay.
it's very low resource. It doesn't use much resources for me to inspect this image. So if I go here, there's my first 3-minute image. And, oh, good, some satellites.
Yep.
I'll just calibrate it. You'll see my target is tiny because this field of view is so huge. Yeah, I know. If I zoom in a little here. Come on, don't freeze me out. Yeah, so what I want to do now is go somewhere near the center of this field. And if I just hover over a star, say this one here. It's going to measure the full width half maximum and the flatness or roundness, in other words, of this star.
Mm-hmm.
We want flatness to be closer to zero, as close to zero as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it moved. Let's pick a star. Let's just pick that one right there. Okay. 0.2. So that's a bit on the oblong side, and it's because we were getting the guiding going. 0.13, you'd never see that that was out of round. 4.7 arc seconds, that's good. That's about 1.5 pixels on this camera. So this is a nice way that I can inspect my images as I'm acquiring. So you can see 4.7, 4.8 seconds. Nice and round. Anything less than 0.2, I can't see.
Okay. Gord Simpson said, "Thank Musk for those."
I just.
What happened?
So you're saying that you only use Maximum DL, pretty much for checking out your lights and your focus.
Did we lose him?
No.
Hello, Ron.
No. Sounds like possibly.
That's you clicking, right?
Yeah.
Let's see if he dropped out. No, it looks like his screen froze.
Yeah.
All right. Well, okay. Well,
Yeah.
we won't have dead air then.
Yeah,
so,
no kidding. Yeah.
Yeah, he froze. So you know what? I'm gonna show you my new graphic because I haven't been using it.
Okay.
So I want to. So here's the new graphic, and we'll just use this to kind of introduce this segment, let's say. And here we go.
There it is.
Sci-fi tangent. Sci-fi tangent. So back by popular demand, we have Sci-Fi Tangent, and basically we talk a little bit about whatever we want to talk about.
Yeah.
Let's see if we get Ron back, and once we get Ron back, we'll get back to talking about astrophotography.
There you go.
And hopefully he comes back.
Hey, I was actually just looking over at deepskydad.com. It looks like they've got this LAF lens autofocuser. It's a successor to our wide field focus system, and they were using it
the
with
WFF. Yep.
Yeah, and it looks like they were using it actually with a Samyang 135, which is basically the Rokinon. They're the same, one and the same. So I'll be very interested in checking this guy out.
I think we got Ron back.
All right. Right on.
And let's see. So we're gonna. All right. So you joined with a different name. So let's get you on here. Change template. Change source. C. And Ron B. And there we go.
You got.
And you're back.
Me?
So yeah, I got you back.
Okay,
Awesome.
good.
Yeah. So yeah, it looks like either something froze up or something. So.
Good.
Yeah, I lost my internet here, and it's still
no.
kind of sluggish,
That's
but
not
working better anyway.
All right. There you go. Yeah, it does even look a little better.
Yeah.
And we should be very close to having the first luminance frame in too. Oh yeah, we've got it. Let me share my screen with you, okay? Just give me a second.
Yeah, sure. Yep.
Just give me 1 second. So to do that, I have to go to share screen, click share, minimize, bring up my remote desktop. So here's the Eagle screen. There's the first image in the center on the bottom. And I can pull it. Do you see my screen? Okay. Okay. I'm just still opening that image now. There it is. And now I'm going to calibrate it. Watch the dust spots vanish. And when I measure the star, measure a small star, it's about 3.2 arc seconds. Just for this. Just for this. So you can see the seeing was around, I can measure the seeing, right? So if I pick a star here, it's around 3.3 arc seconds, so it's not great right now. But it's early, and I'm going to be throwing the first couple of frames away anyway, possibly, because it's not that dark yet. But at least I know I'm in the right place and my stars are around. So with that, I would feel compelled to watch any more what's going on. I'll come back.
With those for my focusing, so I don't have to be out every half hour.
Yeah, you got to.
Yeah,
get
I mean, even
autofocus.
F4 is pretty fast.
It is,
but you should have improved. You have a bigger critical focus zone, so it's going to be more forgiving.
Yeah, that's what I like. That's what I need. I need something to be a little bit more.
We all need forgiveness.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's why we all love refractors.
Exactly.
Refractors are definitely forgiving. It's like having an offset golf club.
Yeah.
And there's some really nice refractors out there right now.
Sure. Got some nice quads out there now that are coming out. with the built-in flat.
Yeah, you got quads. You got. I mean, full disclosure, right? Skywatcher, they loaned me the Esprit to demo, and then they gave it to me afterwards. But I love the scope. I wouldn't be using it. I've got other scopes.
Nice.
I've got other scopes of the same focal length that I'm not using because I like that Esprit. It just gives beautiful results.
So whenever you want to donate one to the States, you let me know.
Yeah, right. You got to come across the border to get it, though.
No problem.
I don't think they'll let me in.
I hear they're building a wall.
Yeah.
That's what we need, another wall.
So what is is the 150 your favorite right now? What is your favorite scope right now that you've been using?
Depends on the field of view that I'm shooting.
Sure.
You know, you have to think of it's a tool like a camera and a lens. It goes together, a camera and a telescope.
Yes.
You put the right kit together for the kind of thing. So if I'm shooting a Milky Way shot, my favorite is going to be an 18 millimeter lens on my DSLR.
Yeah, of course.
Right. If I'm traveling, one shot color is really convenient, and wide fields are more forgiving.
Mm-hmm.
Wide fields with small refractors, more forgiving and easier to get in the car.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
Smaller scope, smaller mount. So what's my favorite depends on what I'm doing. In my observatory, for what I'm doing right now, my Esprit with my mono camera is probably my favorite. But if I had my druthers, I'd have a mono camera with smaller pixels, because I get seeing that would allow me to benefit from smaller pixels.
Okay.
I went through a growth pain. You know, I had the aperture fever thing going on. So I started when I was doing astrophotography. My first setup was an 8-inch Schmidt, and that went into a closet for about 3 years after I decided it was a little rough to do. And then I started getting into visual observing. So I started going. I got a 10-inch Dob. I got a 12-inch Dob, and then I got my 18-inch Obsession. So then I went backward. Then I really started getting into photography, so I went to a 10-inch imaging Newtonian, and I was like, that's not working. And so I finally went from a 10-inch to a 127 refractor. Now I'm down to an 80. So I went full circle from small to big, back to small again.
Yeah.
No, but I totally agree with you, Ron. What you're saying, depending on the target, is what you have to use. Because, like I said, right now, with me going after Antares, I'm going to use the 135 millimeter because I want to get that nice wide field. But if I have to, but for Galaxy season, I'm using my 126 millimeter. So you're absolutely right. It just depends on the target.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But what I tend to do is I tend to use one focal length and camera for a long time, and I shoot all the targets that are good for that setup.
That makes sense.
Then I'll change setups. Right, I did that with the Takahashi for 2 years. I shot everything that was good in a 4 degree by 3 degree field for 2 years, and then I ran out of targets, and I changed setup, right, to get smaller targets. I was shot big targets for 2 years.
Right.
So, because I have a permanent setup, I don't want to be tweaking on good nights. So I set up once and shoot it for a long time.
Makes sense. Makes absolute.
It does make sense.
Makes absolute sense.
Why is this not working? So if you were a new astrophotographer and you were just starting out again, what type of telescope would you start off with first, and what would you stray away from as being a starter person in astrophotography?
Well, any telescope that you buy in a department store or a non-specialty,
Okay, fair enough.
I would avoid. Any telescope that's advertised by its magnification or by its electronics, I would not buy. As a starter scope, right? Because it's optics that matter, and simple matters. Now, a lot of people don't have time or aren't interested in learning the sky. Yeah, some of the new refractors with the pointing technology, they're fantastic for beginners. But when you look through those, you're not going to have a view like the astrophotos that are on the box.
Right.
Right. In terms of, I guess my answer would be different for visual than it is for imaging. So for visual, I really love small daubs, like a 6 or 8 inch daub. And in fact, when we're done this show tonight, in my driveway, I have a 10-inch daub that I made myself with some friends. I ground the mirror, and I participated in all the planning and some of the finishing. But I have friends who are way handier than me. I've already confessed to that. And I picked it up today from my friend's house. It's set up in my driveway, columnated, ready for me to stick an eyepiece in for first light.
Nice.
Yeah.
Way to go.
10-inch f6.
You're in like Bortle 4, Bortle 5?
Not a Bortle 4, but lately I've been getting around 21 magnitudes per square arc second.
Wow.
21.2,
awesome.
21.3. The last month or so has been very good.
Yeah.
A lot of people seem to be noticing that the sky is more transparent with, I guess, less air pollution from traffic and planes.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I could definitely, I can't tell the difference because my eyes are shot anyway. But I mean,
I don't have data, but I have kind of the empirical evidence of my experience over the last month or so. I've had probably 4 of the best 5 nights I've had. So
don't leave us. You faded in and out there for a second, Ron. So
sorry.
I think we get you back now. You're good.
Yeah, you got me? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, you're good. So yeah, I agree. With everything that's been going on, the pollution, the pollution is slightly decreasing. So seeing and it's gotten a lot better for us. And right now we have to take advantage of what we can get.
Yeah, I agree.
Totally.
Tolga said Ron needs the QHY 600.
Yeah, I really do. I do.
Mark loves his Esprit 120. He's got an Esprit 120.
Yeah, QHY if you're listening.
I really want to test that one.
Yeah. That's funny, eh?
That is funny.
Now, what are your thoughts on the CMOS? Because you use CCD. What are your thoughts on some of the CMOS cameras, that are coming out now that are more prevalent out on the market now?
Okay, so first of all, I use both CCD and CMOS.
Okay.
So I use a CCD. My mono camera is a CCD. My color camera, my one-shot color camera is a CMOS. My DSLR is a CMOS, and my guide camera is a CMOS.
Okay.
So that's the first thing. I use them both, and both are very good. You can find very good and very bad examples of both.
Yep.
Both of them have certain advantages and certain disadvantages, but in the field, for most people, CMOS is really starting to come of age. It's a better price point, faster download, but it's not perfect. I'll tell you, when QHY asked me to demo the 367C, which is the color camera that I'm using now, I didn't think I was going to like it. I love it. It's awesome. I really love it. It works great.
Yeah,
So Hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah.
And also, with a lot of this stuff, I'm sorry, but it's not the plane, it's the pilot, right? It's
Sure.
I have a friend who says if you, well, this applies to me, I already told you, you could give me the best hammer in the world and I would never be able to build you a house. Right? But I have friends that you could give a pretty mediocre hammer to and they build you a nice house. It would just take a little longer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very true.
So equipment is part of the equation, but setting it up and using it, maximizing the usefulness of the equipment, getting out every clear night, using the mediocre nights to get better at what you're doing, all that stuff matters.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you could just sit there and kind of either tweak your focus routine or tweak whatever your guiding routine or your guide camera, making sure that's focused nice. Don't waste your time on a garbage night, I guess, for the most part, whether it's a full moon or it's cloudy. There's stuff you could do. Trust me. There's plenty. I mean, there's so cloudy nights where I'll just sit there and I'll just redo my dark library. I mean,
Yeah.
My son just offered me a scotch, I think.
That
was a
you want a whiskey
thumbs up. Yeah.
There you go.
You want a whiskey sour? I got my whiskey sour right here.
I wonder if it's going to help me observe better for my first light on the 10-inch.
Definitely not. You might see something, but you won't see what you're looking at.
So any other questions from folks?
Let's see. George, I believe George is from Scotland, if I remember right. He's a welcome. He's on all the time. Pollution index is down to 2006 levels apparently. So we went back about 15 years.
That's
Mark,
something.
Looking at this, yeah. I mean, and it's different in different parts of the world. I mean, you look at China. I mean, I'm sure we've all seen those pictures of the pollution where it just the like even like the smog in India is gone. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Friends don't let friends drink and scope, apparently. But let's see. I don't know. You missed my sci-fi tangent promo.
That's funny.
I got moving forward with the show. I wanted to put it into 3 different segments. And I'll just show it. I'll give everybody a preview of what we got. And hopefully I don't offend anybody. So I got 3 different promos now. So here's the first one that I'll go. This is called Troubleshooting Alley. Ready?
My shoe!
Oh, there's no sound. Did you hear any sound or no?
No sound. Nope.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
That's horrible. You heard it?
I hear you.
Let's see. No, did you hear the sound of the video? Oh, that stinks.
Oh no.
Something's wrong with the sound. All right, well, I won't show you. Well, just imagine if you know Eddie Murphy. Just imagine, Aunt Bunny fell down the steps. You remember that? Nobody remembers that. I guess I'm.
Yeah.
Well, Aunt Bunny. I got Eddie Murphy's soundtrack going down here. Where everybody's falling down the steps, and there's somebody. The sound's not working though, but so I won't even play the other 2 then. So put everybody back on.
So hey, I'm actually starting to use PixInsight now.
Right now?
Yeah, I've actually started, doing more than blink.
There you go. You're gonna make me stand up and get a refill.
There you
Ron,
go,
I'm telling you.
I'm actually using more than blink now.
Oh yeah, that's right. You bought PixInsight for the blink, and that was it.
Yeah, but I'm actually, I've been looking at. I actually signed up for Adam Block's site. I have Warren Keller's book, Inside PixInsight.
Inside. Yep.
Yep. So actually, so right now,
I was the
I
technical
just
reviewer
started.
of the book.
Yeah. So, and it's a great book. It's got a lot of great information in it. So right now, I'm at the point where I was actually doing the weight batch post processing. So I was actually following some of Adam's steps. So it's basically I finished up I had to just do calibration. So I did all the calibration steps. Then I went back and I did the debar manually because I have a 294 one-shot color. And right now here, I'll just share my screen with you real quick and I'll just let you see what I've got going on right now. Let's see. And so I'm only at this phase right now, which is I just finished cropping it. It did the debar and it did the integration. So now I'm at the step where I was about to actually do the background extraction. So I'm not sure if you guys can see my screen or not. Okay, so I was actually going to go there and actually I'm just going step by step. So going through everything here. So dynamic background, yeah. So yeah, so right now I'm just going along with it. We're doing a couple things here, and do this really quick. I think that was at 6, and I had this at 75 and generate, and because I've actually already done this this guy here. So this was M51. And just, I was getting a little confused with one piece here. So if we want to talk a little troubleshooting alley or whatnot. So, and I believe I go here, like I said, I'm going pretty much by YouTube videos, Adam's information, and Warren's book. So I've got it to subtraction. I'm keeping everything. And I think that's it. And if anybody tells me different, let me know. And yeah. And so, like I said, total newbie to this. No, yeah. So total newbie. So okay. Okay. Good point. Okay.
Oh yeah, the rule of halves.
Yeah.
Which I can't take credit for. That's
So,
Warren Keller, right?
No.
That's how he refines his estimates. Either double or
Makes
half it.
sense.
If it's too much or too little, go back by half. Keep sneaking up on the right answer.
Yeah, absolutely. Do it in baby steps and just get down there, get down to the nitty gritty of everything. Because, what's going to happen is if you're like me, even with polar alignment. I mean, when I first started doing polar alignment with Sharp Cap, I'd be making these adjustments on the altitude and adds. I'm cranking these things like, come on, you got to get down only 12, and I'm turning it and it's go left and right and left and right. All it needs is a little bit. And just do it a little bit at a time, just like the same thing with your processing. That's one thing I learned from Ron, was that even though that the changes that you make are very subtle, when they're all put together, and they all kind of and as long as it doesn't make the picture look worse than what you started with, then you sit there, then you can move on to the next step, and then you can.
Well, also, I mean, if you can see what I did too much of it.
Yeah.
You have to use a really light hand. You have to use a light hand with every step. You have to spend the time. All the missteps you make early in the process get amplified with subsequent steps. The noise that you fail to remove gets sharpened later on. the color splotchiness that you failed to address early on becomes saturated later on. The green hue that you don't address becomes a green cast in the final image. So, there's an order of things, and you have to take the bad stuff out early.
Apparently the sound on the previews went out online because they're all making fun of me.
Oh boy.
Video and sound okay. Welcome to the dark side. You're showing your age, and Mark said he hears nothing, so I'm not sure what's going on now. So George said he heard it. Mark said he didn't. I don't know. I think Mark's got us on mute. I think, or you have one too many scotches.
Okay. Tarek was actually asking, what made you get into astronomy, astrophotography? What brought you into this?
Oh, so that's kind of an interesting story. There's 3 legs on this stool, and most of them involve my kids. So I was always interested in astronomy as a kid, but in 1998, when my wife was pregnant with our second child, we moved to a new house, and the house was a little bit out of town. It's where I am now, so the quality of the skies around Portal 4. I wasn't into astronomy then, but I did notice how nice the stars were here. And then my old bank, we changed banks when we got the new house. My old bank said, before we close your Visa card, you have all these points. Do you want us to send you something? So they sent me a catalog. I got a toy train, something for the kitchen, and what I thought was a toy telescope for my 4-year-old son. Anyway, a few days later, all that stuff arrived. The telescope turns out to be a 4.5-inch reflector with decent optics.
Wow.
On a crappy mount, but decent optics. And I could see, Jupiter's rings, the bands. I could see Saturn's rings. I could see the moon. Everything was really rickety. I could see Jupiter's moons too. That was pretty cool. So then my daughter's born in end of May, and she's colicky. She screamed for about a year. And the only thing that helped her sleep is I would put her over my arm and walk her up and down the driveway at night in the colic cold. And that would help her sleep. And I'm getting more and more hooked on the stars. So this is May through December. So I have a crappy telescope, a screaming daughter. Now Christmas comes, and my business partner gives me a copy of Terence Dickinson's book, Night Watch.
Nice.
Chapter 4, Choosing and Using a Telescope. There's a sidebar article called Junk Scopes from Asia with a picture of my telescope. Right?
That's awesome.
So I realized that it wasn't really me that was causing all the rickety, blurry views and stuff, that I really was into this. I got a Christmas bonus that year. I had started my own company a few years before. I got a Christmas bonus, and I bought my first real telescope, and that was a Celestron Ultima 2000, 8-inch computerized Schmidt-Cassegrain. And I used that for a long time. So that's how I got in.
Nice.
That's a good story.
Yeah,
that's a nice story.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
Let's see. Mark Ellis is drinking his Royal Crown whiskey.
Cheers. Good Canadian whiskey.
There you go. Bob said thanks for the story, Doc.
Oh, you're welcome.
What time is it? We've been on 2 hours already.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I got to get out and try that telescope.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna call it a night myself. I gotta get out there and polar aligned and start going after the Antares region. Give this guy a go.
I'm doing M101. I'm on my blue filter, so I'm on my. Let's see. I'm on image 22. So.
Well, I checked on mine and everything's running fine.
Yep.
So tomorrow
Yeah.
I'll have a
You've got
dinner.
everything all set.
All
Yeah,
I know is that in about 15 minutes, I think I got to do a meridian flip. So.
yeah. It just took me about 20 years to get it all set. That's all.
Hey,
And look at you now.
there it is.
Yeah.
How many AirPods?
None. I've never had an
Really?
AirPod. No.
I find that hard to believe. Really.
Well, I'm not bitter, really.
Uh,
Oh,
you'll get yours.
Yeah,
You'll get
definitely.
yours.
you know,
But
it's okay. I get a lot of satisfaction, a lot of joy, as I'm sure you guys can appreciate doing it yourselves. I get joy out of the acquisition. I get joy out of solving problems, sharing with people. I love to teach, so it's all good.
you know, yeah. I mean, and you got a lot of knowledge, and I appreciate it personally. Taking the time out and helping me with my processing skills, and it's been a great help. So if you guys want to, take advantage of Ron's help, I'm sure he will be glad to help you out. Just throw him an email or a text message on Messenger, and he is very responsive. So actually, George said it's the journey, not the destination.
Totally, absolutely.
So.
That's it.
Visible Dark is still on. It's a good stuff, guys. Thanks for the insightful show. Clear skies. Bob enjoyed this as well. Thank you so much. Can you travel? Tarek wants to know if you can travel.
I'm afraid I can't right now, but the online tools are fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, when you do it, you do Google.
I use Google Chrome Remote Desktop.
Yep.
Okay.
And either Skype or Zoom or whatever.
Whatever for phone. Yeah.
Yeah. So and it works great. I mean, and Ron allows you to record the sessions if you want to, and it's awesome. It's really good. It's definitely worth it.
Thanks,
Definitely
Daniel.
worth it. No, absolutely. And proof is in the pudding. I'll see you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. So
I definitely have to take advantage of some of these lessons.
Take advantage
that I've
of
already gotten some of them.
And listen, I can only say it so many times. The way Ron talks and the way Ron speaks and he teaches, it's very, very, very good, and it teaches the way that I learn, and that was great. So
it's awesome. Then it's worth it. Any way you can do it, then it's worth it. Absolutely.
There are teachers out there that you could listen to them for 2 hours and don't even remember what they said first. And that's not the case here. So
awesome.
So just
I talk very slowly.
For
you, Daniel.
I need slowness. I need slow. It's just as long as you Bueller. Fry.
There I am. There it is.
Sorry. I digress. I'm sorry. There it is. We go on these tangents every once in a while. But Ron, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah,
we appreciate
it.
You're more than welcome to come on again whenever you want or desire to come on again and put yourself out there. But thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And I will see you tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
And Eric,
yeah.
I'll see you next week.
Next week, my man.
And enjoy your imaging. And again, thanks a lot.
Thanks,
Bye for
guys.
now,
Have
everybody.
a great night. Bye-bye.
All right. Have a good night.